Take your foot off the clutch.
All right. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Road Noise. Hanging out here with Dad, and it's just a joy to kind of connect every week. And it's been fun to hear some comments recently from you, our listener, and some reflections on what you're picking up and what you're gathering and reflecting on as Dad shares these memories and reflections on just God's faithfulness over 50 plus years of ministry. And here we are in the midst of summer, and I was commenting to my daughter just a few minutes ago, Dad, how how this summer has just been exceptional weather. I don't know if like it can't obviously speak for everyone across the country, but I'll just say in Michigan right now, July, we've just had an exceptional summer so far. So I hope that's the case for you and where you're listening as well. But these memories of just so many of these memories you've been sharing, Dad, happen over summer, and so much of my childhood is wrapped up in these stories, and I'm curious to know where we're going this time, Dad. Take it away.
Yeah, it has been a great summer. We've had nice weather, lots of sunshine. Heat's been a little high at times, but along with that, just enough rain to really keep the grass growing and the flowers blooming. And so our Life of Christ display, when you get to the prayer garden, it is beautiful right now. And that's
Fantastic.
yeah, yeah, and it's been fun having people drive through that and so forth, and even some getting out of their cars and taking pictures, and it's cool. Anyway, hey, I'm thinking maybe this is going to end up part A and a part B story. Part A kind of goes along with two things that I witnessed. Okay, um, putting on as many miles as we have over the years, you don't do that without a lot of gasoline. And I'll never forget pulling into a gas station, and obviously I needed gas. So okay, need to fill up. And I pulled in, and one of the first things I noticed, right now, this was several years ago, one of the first things I noticed was there was no pay at the pump here. Okay, so, which is no big deal, especially back then. There weren't a lot of pay at the pump things. So right away, I know that, okay, I'm going to have to go inside to pay. But because it was quite some time ago, you didn't have to pay in advance or anything else. You just pump your own gas, and then when you're done, you go in and you pay for it, and then you leave. Yeah, I know they had a lot of drive-offs back then, and that was a real problem. But and that's been solved with the pay at the pump deal a lot now. But anyway, so I know I'm going to have to pay at the pump. So I stop. I got the pump running, standing there, just kind of minding my own business, and another car pulls in next to me. No big deal. I mean, I'm not really paying attention. Going down the road, you're passing thousands of cars, or they're passing you, and you go to a gas station, and here's just another car, and yeah, obviously they need gas too. And anyways, so they pulled in next to me, and I really didn't think anything about it. But kind of out of the corner of my eye, something about this car caught my attention. And it did so that in such a way that I had to kind of look around the pump to see this car. I mean, it was the most unique car I had ever seen in my life. Now, can I just say, I've seen a bunch of cars. I mean, there's all kinds of things going down the road. There's some really cool things, and this was one of them. But it was kind of cool in an odd way. This car was the biggest pile of junk I had ever seen in my life. And it obviously had been going down the road. And I'm looking at this thing, and there's pieces that are missing. There's pieces that had been added that didn't match the color of the original pieces. There were dents. There was holes. I mean, it was ugly to the point that it caught my attention. Well, I'm still pumping gas, and I assume that probably somebody on the other side of the pump is pumping gas into this pile of junk, but I didn't feel like I needed to initiate a conversation. And afterwards, I'm kind of glad I didn't. But well, anyway, so hey, I was there before they were. So my tank is full, the pump is shut off, and so I need to go inside and pay. And so I put the pump back on it, put the nozzle back on the pump, and in order to get in to pay, I'm going to have to walk behind this pile of junk and to get to the door to go inside. And so as I walk around, I mean, this thing still has drawn my attention because it's so bad. And so as I'm walking around on the back end, on the bumper, I mean, now I know what held the thing together. Bumper stickers. I mean, it was just plastered the whole back end with bumper stickers. And across the bumper was one that kind of stood out, kind of prominent, actually. And I couldn't help but notice what it said. The bumper sticker said, God's car. And I'm thinking, you got to be kidding me. First of all, I didn't know God had a car. And if he does have a car, I would kind of like to think that he could afford something better than this. And as I went in to pay, the thought crossed my mind, what are people thinking that pull up behind this vehicle as it goes down the road and they see that bumper sticker? God's car? I mean, the thing's moving down the road, but it's not going very fast. And I couldn't help but think that maybe there's some people that see that and say, wow, if that's the best kind of car God can afford, I'm glad he's not my friend. I wouldn't want to ride with him. That thing is a piece of junk ready to fall apart. Now, I know that I have driven some junk myself. Your mom commented, I think it was yesterday or the day before. Well, let's back up. Whatever it was the day before that, she asked if the back window was down on our van. And I said, no. And then it was yesterday or day before, she said, oh, now I know what I was hearing. All right, the window is closed, but it's got some rust on that door, and maybe the wind is coming in there, and that's what she was hearing. All right, so I get it. I don't drive a new car, and I've driven some real junk. But can I just say that if we're going to drive junk like that, we might be better off not putting a sticker on it that says it's God's car. I'm afraid that maybe that's not helping the kingdom any at all, not giving God any credit. Now, I'm sure that whoever was driving this vehicle probably had a story. Had a story about how they had no money, but yet God somehow miraculously provided just enough money to buy this junk, that they knew it wasn't good, and they were just so thankful to have it, and blessed that they had a little bit of money left over to put some gas in it. And maybe there's a real God story behind this vehicle. But I'm just looking at it from the standpoint of somebody that might not be a believer and seeing a car that says God's car. Well, anyway, so just thought I'd share that. But along with that, before we go into part B of the story, I was headed down the interstate, coming up fairly quickly behind a bus, kind of like a Greyhound bus. And again, this vehicle struck my attention. It had some writing on the back, but there was no way that you could make out what it said, because the whole back end of this bus was just covered with oil and dirt. Okay, so I'm the guy that drove a vehicle for several years that we simply referred to as the oiler, because the back end of it was covered. And there's a whole nother story that I've got about that vehicle as well. But anyway, so I'm pulling up behind this bus. But what I noticed, even before I noticed how black it was on the back with all the oil and dirt, was the fact that it's going down the road lopsided. I mean, the thing is leaning to the right to the point that I'm thinking, wow, any passengers in there, they've all got to be on the right side because they're all leaning going downhill. And I couldn't help but think that if this was a double-decker bus, nobody would want to ride in the top, and nobody would want to pass this bus on the right-hand side in fear that it would be top-heavy and tip right over on them. Well, it's going down the road sideways. Like I said, it didn't take long for me to catch up to it, and so I'm thinking, okay, as soon as I have the opportunity, I'm going to pass this guy. And that didn't take long, and I had the opportunity. And as I pulled around to the left, now I can see the left side of the bus, the side that's actually higher than the other. Right now, for those of you that might be wondering why a bus would go down the road like that, to me it was pretty obvious. Has airbag suspension, airbags on the right side don't work. Got a hole in them or whatever, but they're not holding air, and so the bus is tilting, it's leaning. Now an airbag, they're not really that hard to replace, and they're not really expensive, but if you don't, it's not going to ride level. So as I get to the left side of the bus, there's writing that starts right at the front where the driver's at and goes down the entire side of the bus. And what I saw, that got my attention. It said, Jesus Tours. I'm thinking, give me a break. You know, it hadn't been that long before that I had been at this gas station and saw this piece of junk that was God's car. And now I see this bus that's going down the road lopsided that says Jesus Tours. And I'm thinking, anybody that sees this bus is thinking, I don't know where Jesus is going, but I don't want to ride with him. If he can't fix that bus and get it going down the road level, I'll just wait. I'll catch another bus or something. So class, I guess what I'm saying is, you know, the things we drive don't have to be new, and they may not look all that great. But it was in, Leviticus, that God kind of set some rules up for what he expected. And he expects the best, at least the best that we have. It doesn't mean that everything we own has to be the best. But when it comes to putting God's name on it, it ought to be pretty decent. And if not, maybe we need to reconsider at least how we label these things that we drive or things that we own. Well, anyway, so I'm going to leave it right there as part A on this story. But part B is another good learning experience. I know for me, seeing these vehicles go down the road makes me want to at least clean the back windshield every now and then.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm imagining all those times we've seen vehicles down the road that have the wash me on the back, right? Little soap might go a long way. Yeah, but to your point about like it's just reflecting on the vastness of God's provision, and reminded in Psalms about he has no need for the cattle and the pen and all, because he has the cattle on 1,000 hills are his, and he's abundant. He has no shortage. What he needs, he has. And yeah, what a great reminder. Well,
But yet when the Israelites were to bring their sacrifice, they brought a cow, but it had to be a perfect one. And if it wasn't a perfect one, you had to buy one that was. And, the same with, bringing the grain for the grain offering. I mean, God expected, okay, don't bring the food you're about ready to throw out. It's been in the refrigerator 2 months. It's moldy, no, God doesn't want that brought as an offering.
yeah,
And so, which is a great example. I mean, God wanted the perfect sacrifices, and God provided a perfect sacrifice. Wow. He
That's
sent his
good.
best. He sent his best.
What a great reminder. Well, I guess we'll park it here and pick it up in part B.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, I expect some dad jokes by then. So I know I'm not the only one. So we'll pick it up then.